have you ever really thought about the constant, invisible balancing acts that are happening all around us and even inside us every single second? Well, today, we're going to go on a pretty wild journey. We're starting deep inside our own cells and ending up in, of all places, a sauna at a wellness studio. It's all connected by the unseen science of balance.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into the body's internal tug-of-war. Then, we'll see how scientists actually try to keep score in this battle. After that, we'll look at what happens when things go seriously wrong and check out some really high-tech solutions. And finally, we'll see how this exact same theme of balance pops up in a place you'd never expect.
Okay, so right now, as you're sitting there, your body is in the middle of a massive internal conflict. I'm serious. It's this constant struggle between forces that are trying to protect you and forces that are trying to cause damage. And honestly, winning this invisible battle is pretty much the key to staying healthy.
Now, the scientific name for this whole fight is oxidative stress. The best way to picture it is like a biological scale. On one side, you've got the good guys, antioxidants. On the other side, the bad guys, pro-oxidants. When that scale tips too far and the pro-oxidants take over, they can start doing real damage to our cells, our proteins, even our DNA.
And what's so fascinating is that we're constantly influencing this battle. Look at the two sides here. On the left, we've got our defenders, things like vitamin C and E from our diet, the benefits of physical activity, even some medications. But on the right, you have the attackers, fueled by things like smoking, drinking too much alcohol, or conditions like obesity. Every single day, our choices are literally tipping this scale one way or the other.
So, if this is a battle going on inside of us, you gotta wonder, how do we know who's winning? It's a great question, and it's one that scientists have been trying to answer for a while now, developing ways to actually measure this incredibly complex state of balance.
To do this, they came up with something called an oxidative balance score, or OBS for short. But here's the thing, it's not as simple as one single measurement. No, these scores are actually composites, combining anywhere from 3 to as many as 20 different factors to create one single number, one snapshot of your body's internal balance.
So, what exactly goes into a score like this? Well, it's a mix of all sorts of things. Scientists basically give you points for antioxidant factors, a diet full of vitamins, getting regular exercise. At the same time, they subtract points for pro-oxidant factors like smoking or having a high BMI. The final score gives them a pretty good idea of where you stand on that whole oxidative stress scale.
But what happens when that scale is tipped in the wrong direction, and it stays there for a long time? That's when this abstract idea of imbalance becomes a very, very real health problem. And a perfect and really powerful example of this is the case of psoriasis.
Now, the most important thing to get about psoriasis is that it's not just skin deep. Not at all. We see the rashes and plaques on the outside, but it is a systemic disease. That means the inflammation driving it, that imbalance, is actually widespread throughout the entire body. It's a huge sign that the internal balancing act has gone haywire.
And this slide lays out this really dangerous chain reaction that researchers sometimes call the psoriatic march. It starts with that systemic inflammation, which then can lead to insulin resistance. From there, it can damage the lining of your blood vessels, and that, ultimately, can seriously increase the risk for things like a heart attack or a stroke. It's just a stunning example of how one imbalance can set off this cascade of problems across the whole body.
So how in the world do you fight back against something like this? Well, modern medicine has developed some unbelievably sophisticated tools to step in and help nudge the body's equilibrium back in the right direction. One of the most cutting-edge tools are these drugs called biologics. And honestly, the best way to think of them is like smart keys. Instead of just carpet bombing the entire immune system, these drugs are engineered to fit into very specific molecular locks that are driving the inflammation. It's an incredibly precise way to restore balance without causing a ton of collateral damage. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach either. There are different types of these smart keys. Some of the earlier ones blocked a general inflammation signal called TNF-alpha. But the newer ones, they get even more specific, targeting signals like IL-17 or IL-23, which are these little messenger molecules that are basically telling skin cells in psoriasis patients to grow way too fast.
Okay, let's take a big step back. We have been deep in the world of cells and immune signals, but now I want to make a giant leap and zoom all the way out. Because this fundamental challenge of maintaining balance, this constant push and pull, it doesn't just happen inside our bodies. It happens in our everyday environments too.
So check out this quote. It actually comes from a Reddit post by a manager at a performance recovery studio. They're talking about their infrared sauna, which gets used all the time. And they're facing this really stubborn problem, a problem that is all about balance.
And here's the core issue. You've got this constant cycle of heat, sweat, and moisture that has completely tipped the sauna's environment out of whack. The wood, which is supposed to smell great, has accidentally become the perfect home for microbes. This has created a microbial imbalance, and that's causing this persistent odor that no amount of cleaning can seem to get rid of.
And this slide just brings our whole story full circle, doesn't it? In the body, you have an imbalance of oxidants and antioxidants causing oxidative stress. In the sauna, you have an imbalance of moisture and microbes causing an unwanted smell. They're two totally different worlds, but the fundamental problem and the goal is exactly the same: restore the balance.
You know, whether we're talking about our health or our environment, we are constantly in this quest for balance, from the microscopic level to the world we walk around in. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What invisible battles for balance are you navigating in your own life every single day?